I'm here with Dave Gordon tonight, who is leading a talk for the Royal Television Society about the BBC production of the Olympics in 2012. Dave, many thanks for joining us today on SportsByte. First and foremost, could you tell us a little bit about the talk tonight?
What we're going to do, we're going to sort of spend a bit of time painting the sort of bigger picture of the BBC's coverage, a bit about the build-up to the coverage, because this sort of thing doesn't happen overnight. So we spent several years planning it. So want to share some of our thought processes as we planned it. We'll share some of the execution, some of the detail of the execution, and a few lessons that can be learned.
And with the thing that really stuck out in my mind over the Olympics was how much focus there was on the minority sports across 24 channels across the red button. How much of an impact will that have on the minority sports in future?
I think it'll have a huge impact. I think, in fact, that sort of coverage is probably groundbreaking. I always maintain you need a big idea for the Olympics, and our big idea was to cover every session of every sport every day, never miss a moment. And to this end, the technology had come of age where we could do that. 24 streams on broadband, plus we got some other partnerships. We got Sky, Freesat, Virgin to carry it as well, and that way you can offer the viewer whatever they want. If they want to watch 6 hockey matches a day, they can watch 6 hockey matches a day. And we did that for every sports session that was covered. So I think we did a lot for the aficionados of the sport, but also hopefully did quite a bit for those people who are new to sport. We put a lot of emphasis on explaining how competitions worked, what the techniques, made little video pieces to support that, put those on our website, ran them in our programming, and I think that's a huge legacy for the broadcasting of sport. And I think for the future, I think it goes to prove that there is an appetite for that sport on the major occasions. I mean, whether audiences will watch it in between the games, I'm not sure actually. I think audiences are very sophisticated because audiences know when something is for real and when it matters, you get a medal or it's an invitation event or it's a minor championship. So there's plenty of work still to be done, but I think it's a real quantum leap in the right direction.
You mentioned the technology there in particular, but how much of an impact could that have on increasing the coverage of minority sports in Great Britain?
I think, again, it'll have an enormous impact because now you can do it relatively cheaply. You don't need huge, great OB vans. You don't need huge, great TVs. You can stream content on the website via broadband. And with take up a broadband in the UK, I mean, that's, the world of broadband and television is merging now essentially. So, I think the only issue are the costs of actually capturing the content, the costs of putting lightweight camera units in to do that, and to what extent the audience are prepared to put up with coverage that isn't, won't be as flashy as a football match. A football match at St James's Park would probably have a minimum of a dozen cameras, so you can see things from every angle. You can replay from every angle. Well, you won't be able to afford to do that for every minority sport. So there will be a level of compromise. But if you're an aficionado of that sport, you're probably prepared to do that.
Definitely. And I'm sure that you've been asked this numerous times, but how much of an impact, again, is the London Olympics going to have on minority sports, not only in the region, but also in the entire country?
I think it'll have let's not forget, I think one of the big legacies everybody was hoping for from London was a big participation legacy, to sort of regenerate some of the sports by getting more people involved in them. That way they'll, it's a good thing in itself. It's also, you're going to have a bigger talent pool for sort of future athletes. So, I think that's absolutely sort of crucial. And, what it now needs is the sports themselves to put together the sort of infrastructure in every region and the sort of infrastructure that's going to feed the best talent nationally as well, to take advantage of that legacy. I mean, there are lots of partners who've got to play their part in this.
Definitely. Final question here, Dave, but obviously SportsByte tries its best to cover the minority sports within Sunderland. Have you got any hints or tips for our budding reporters in Sunderland?
Go in search of good stories. I think sport's about and journalism. It's about telling stories, isn't it? So I think that's the way you capture the imagination of your audiences, potential participants, by telling good, great stories. That's the key to it to me. Tell the stories, adopt a storytelling approach to what you do. It isn't just about the sport per se. In fact, sometimes the best thing to do is not to actually point your cameras at the actual sporting event. Sometimes the best thing you can do to get more coverage is by actually telling a great story. I'll give you an example. Rather than show half an hour of judo on BBC Two on a Sunday afternoon, which might play out to 500,000 people, it's not very big. It's not going to attract many new followers, anything like that. Get a judo medalist onto the one show, one night of the week, to an audience of 4 or 5 million. You're going to do far more for the sport and popularising the sport that way. That's the essence of the BBC's approach. Use the strength of the BBC. To be more particular here about the North East, to actually, rather than sort of covering the sport as such, a guest spot or a little film on the regional opt-out on BBC North East, worth its weight in gold, because that will reach far more people, and it will reach people who aren't tapped into the sport anyway. The important thing is to seek new audiences.
Dave, many thanks for joining us tonight on SportsByte. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to the talk tonight.
Pleasure.
Thank you. I'm Andy Sixsmith reporting for SportsByte.